When it comes to hunting or shooting long range, one of the factors that ballistic calculators are going to take into account is the scope height over the bore. And so I just want to run over a couple quick ways to calculate that. One is really simple and gets you pretty close. The other is a more technical way to do it, but it's going to get you a much more accurate scope height. So let's have a look. The basic method of calculating height over bore, you can just take a measuring tape, find roughly the center line of your scope, which is a lot of times going to be pretty close to in line with your rings, and then the approximate center of the bore. So easy way to do that is to just grab a measuring tape, throw it on here, and then look for where the approximate center is. So in this case, I would say we're probably about 1 3/4 inches over bore. If you want to be more accurate, you're going to need a couple of things. It's going to be good to have a set of calipers. The way I do it is with a couple of levels and a couple of strips of metal to help level everything out. And you're going to have to do a tiny bit of math. So in order to find this more accurately, you're going to take first your bolt diameter and you're going to divide that by 2. So we can yank the bolt out of this and grab our calipers and then check the outer diameter of the bolt. So in this case, we're getting 0.740. So we would do 0.740 divided by 2. Next thing we're going to need is the scope tube diameter. In this case, this is a 34 millimeter tube. We can also use calipers for that. If you've got a 1 inch or 30 mil tube, you can just look that up or just punch into a calculator what the conversion is. So we're dealing with a 1.34 tube. So you'll have 1.34 inches divided by 2 there. The third measurement that we need is the distance from the top of the bolt to the bottom of the scope tube from here to here. And so the way that I like to do that is with a couple of flat pieces of metal, a couple of levels, and then with a second person to measure that distance. So what we'll do is slip that in on the top of the bolt and get it level. Then we'll take the second piece of metal and get it flat against the top here. And while you're holding both of those pieces level, your second person can come in and they can measure the distance between those two pieces of metal with the calipers. So after you've gotten all of those, you're going to take your bolt diameter divided by 2, your scope tube diameter divided by 2. You'll add both of those together, and then you'll add those to the distance between the top of the bolt and the bottom of the scope. And that's going to give you your most accurate scope height over bore. So once you know your height over bore, that's going to be something that you plug into any ballistic software that you're going to use to make calculations, and that'll give you a more accurate result than the normal like 1.5 inch default that most software uses.